myself, Akwesi on the Africans channel, one of the OGs, the pillar, the foundation members of them all, newly minted Canadian Nelson is back with us on the program, passport in hand. I know you can't see him, but he is flashing his passport to everyone, saying, "Look at this maple things." Um, but Nelson, it's good to have you back on the program. It's been so long. I mean, we hang out all the time, but it's been so long since you've been here. What is new? What is happening with you these days?
Oh, nothing, man. Just currently come from watching one of the worst Manchester United games I've seen in since last season. It's not really that long.
Yes, so long.
Yeah, like 4 months or something. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, chilling. Can't wait to actually have. It's this has been a rough. It seems like a rough week for Kenyans and Manchester United fans combined. So
Hey.
there we go.
Let's talk about the Kenyans first because the Chan Championships are happening and look, I posted it on the YouTube channel. Nelson is thrilled after they finished top of the group. The 8 Kenyans who are in our subscriber base were like, "Yes. Yes." And then the penalties versus Madagascar happened. Now, as a team, a senior team who has lost the Madagascar in full time, I say, hey, good job. You guys made it to additional time. So good job on that. But when you look at like the Chan Championships with Kenya, is this a good breakthrough moment to keep eyes on the local leagues to continue that development, or do you feel this is more just like a once in a this is just a star shooting through the sky, and there's still work to do in Kenya in terms of their football infrastructure and the likes?
If you look at it historically, Kenya seems to perform really well whenever we host tournaments. But
Mm,
that's I think you see across all African nations. I think
mm-hmm,
a lot of African teams are really good. Um, what impressed me the most was how technical Kenya played. I think Benny McCarthy, again, Manchester United coach, who's now the Kenya national football team coach,
mm-hmm,
or manager, I should say. He's more the manager. And I think this is a thing I think a lot of Kenyan fans would tell you. We are a good team. Um, and on our day, we can beat anyone.
mm,
Consistency, though, is an issue. I'm not sure if we can be as consistent going forward. Um, but do I think that this is like the sleeping giant wakes up? No. I've seen enough. We we don't have like young players coming up
mm,
that would be scary. If you think about it, like Senegal and Nigeria and all these guys, most of the players are playing in Europe right now. If
mm-hmm,
the first teams actually played, would it be close? If Morocco had Hakimi and all these other guys that they play in Europe, would that be close? Would we have won 1-0?
mm-hmm,
Um, so to me, it's a positive shift.
mm,
I think on the ground, I think Kenyans were super excited. I don't think Kenyans had large expectations of this. They just wanted to see how the team plays with other people. But it really didn't tell me anything I didn't know. I always thought Kenya was good. It was always a combination of like our political scene, our federation being all sketchy and tribalism and all these other things that have always hindered us from, um, playing well. And yeah, we're seeing when the country's actually pointed in one direction, how good it can actually perform in the African
no,
stage.
I do agree with you there. Like, I'm not sure if I wouldn't call it even a false flag, which is what some may call it. I think it's a good moment for them. And
Hmm.
it's one of those moments if you're on your day all the time, like you have the potential, right?
Yeah.
The Kenyans have had talented players, but you could say that with most African nations. Most African nations will have their talented players, and
Yeah.
on their day, if everything is well, but it's always conversations with the infrastructure. It's always conversations with the federation, fights with the federation, who's been paid, who hasn't been, people
But I
bribes here,
think
bribes there. But yeah,
to not so I usually don't talk. I know we've had conversations about this before, but there's a
hmm,
reason why I don't talk about Kenya's
yeah,
federation stuff. and it's because even for Kenyans, it's a touchy subject
Yeah.
because we don't really like talking about tribalism, but it's
Mm.
a big factor. If you look at the 90s and the early 2000s, um, a large portion of players would only come from two tribes, literally.
Yeah.
And if you know nothing about Kenya, we have probably 50 plus tribes. So for you to only have two tribes being overly picked, or and it depended on who the federation was, who was the current minister of sports. All like it was so sketchy, so like, and that's not even including. So you have the tribalism part, and then you have the infrastructure when it comes to paying players, scouting players, assessing who's good, uh, losing our players to other countries and other, like
Yeah.
the occasional African stuff. So we had, I think I compared this. I compare our nation honestly to countries like Ivory Coast,
Mm.
where it's not a question of whether we have good players. It's a question of what's stopping those players from being selected, what's stopping those players from showing up, um, how is the selection process being done, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the only difference is Ivory Coast has a lot of good players compared to Kenya, where I think we have good players, but um, I think we're still, like, to be honest, we're one of the few African nations that we don't have a large representation in Europe. We
Mm.
we really don't. It's actually quite shocking that we have very very few like genuine representation. We have one Premier League player, Talon Yango, and he's not
Mm.
even Kenyan technically. He's English. And then, like, yeah, that's about it, to be honest.
No, it's a fair assessment of it all, but I mean, on their day, and it's honestly, we'll just leave it at that. It's a fair assessment of that because we could
Yeah.
go in circles with this for hours
Oh
and
yeah.
just
Yeah.
talk about the issues with it. But we have these conversations all the time. But I mean, it's good to talk about Chan because I mean, I get to talk about Chan a little bit. And I used to say, I commented somewhere, like, Chan is a good snapshot of where your local league is sitting right now, right?
Yeah.
And within that could mean great things, that could be terrible things, right? I was
Mm,
watching some like Nigerian conversations about their side, and it's just like, well, what happened in between qualifying versus
mhm,
there? And it was like, well, different coaches, different things, right? People asking, is this the right thing? Chan is a very good snapshot.
mhm,
It's not, I wouldn't even say it's a good snapshot, but it's a snapshot of where your league is. It doesn't mean that's all your players. The same thing we say with like youth tournaments, right? FIFA U17s, U20s. It's a snapshot of those players. That those players though don't represent your entire football infrastructure. It just represents those players who were selected. And there may be more coming. For some of
mhm.
those players, this is the highest level they'll ever reach. For others, they're just getting started. But I think
Yeah.
it's a good way, it's a good baseline to say, okay, this is what we could do if we're here. Now let's build on this, hopefully. And that's what you hope would happen. Like, you hope your federations turn around and say, okay, we have this success. We see what these issues are. Let's invest here. Or, you get FIFA to, sanction a club because they haven't paid a former coach yet. Ghana. But that's a whole other conversation for another day, as we would say. So we move from Chad because at this point, I mean, Madagascar, Sudan, shout out to Kwesi Appiah, who is, again, doing wonderful things with Sudan. Hopefully they can make a finals, which would be very nice, I think, for them. Because they play Madagascar on Tuesday, and then Morocco plays Senegal. I think that'll be a fun matchup as well later on Tuesday. But